And we've got Steve with first blood. No, you totally diss Brie Olson.
Larson.
That's fair.
Brie Larson.
Oh, Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. She's trash. Flat ass trash.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just a girl in the world.
All right, good morning.
I mean, many things are better than Brie Larson. I mean, Sean Stryker is correct, but there's...
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So, Steve says Stryker and Seaver beat him here, but, I'll remind you that until I actually hit that button that says go live, I don't see any comments. So, Steve, you were the first one to actually put a comment in the live thread. So today we're going to talk about something
different.
Yeah. Now, this falls under the category of science. The main topic for today falls under the category of science that I want to discuss a little more. And for one, because I keep seeing these signs that say things like, "In this house we believe," Black Lives Matter, love is love, blah blah.
Science is real.
And science is real, and okay. If you want to support active terrorism, like the Black Lives Matter organization, First Amendment until you actually commit a crime on their behalf or with them, you're trash, but you have that right. The love is love thing, that's a whole nother can of worms where our failures have brought us lasting shame and damage. But the statement, I believe science is real, if you have ever uttered those words outside of referencing the sentiment or unironically, you don't know what science is. And you certainly are not equipped to discuss it. You have come then unarmed to a battle of wits.
Sean Stryker points out that science says that the Earth was the center of the cosmos and then that changed, and that's a fantastic example. What science really is... In fact, if you're really practicing science, you are disbelieving things.
Yes.
You are attempting to poke holes in things. Like, we just take, for example, gravity as, that's all she wrote. Gravity. Goes up, it must come down. Unless it goes up faster than about 10 meters a second, then it's not coming back down.
Well, and even that doesn't necessarily disprove the theory of gravity. But I tell you what, go sit in on just an astrophysics, an early freshman sophomore course on astrophysics, and you will learn that the reason we still call it the theory of gravity is we really don't know shit about gravity.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it disproves gravity. I'm just saying when you teach gravity to an 8-year-old, you don't teach them general relativity and explain, actually, no, you see, space and time are actually the same thing, and gravity is the curvature that mass exerts on the space-time continuum. Because, I'm 40 years old, and I get it, but there's still part of my brain that screams in terror at saying sentences like that. Okay? So you just teach them what goes up must come down, even though that's not at all reality. Things can go up and never come down, ever,
right.
never, ever.
So
I believe in science is, like, I almost want to, every time I see it, I want to be sarcastic and be like, science doesn't care if you believe in it.
It certainly doesn't believe in you. So there's a somber note here because this particular article, the headline on this article that we're going to talk about is Last Wish. First ever recording of the moment someone dies reveals what our last thoughts might be. And I want to look at this article, one, because it's interesting, obviously, but it's also my, with deep sadness that I report that there has been a loss in the family. Our good friend DJ Scotty and his lovely young wife Crystal have suffered a deep and personal loss, and for those of you that know Scotty, you've probably seen what he's been posting on Facebook. And in fairness, a lot of what he's been posting on Facebook is leave us alone because, oh my God, you cannot imagine, as much as we appreciate the thoughts and prayers and well wishes, dear God, the phone won't stop ringing. Please just let us breathe. And I'm happy to report that Scotty, I think early yesterday or late Monday evening, posted that the phone stopped ringing, and thank you guys so much for that. And I can appreciate that. I can understand that. Personally, I left a few comments on some of the Facebook posts updating the situation. I won't go into detail on what exactly happened, but Steve asks, I missed something. For the purposes of this show, suffice it to say that Scotty and Crystal have had a devastating loss. And this is not an elderly grandparent who has passed. This is a younger member of the family, and those details, I'm not entirely clear on all of the details, but I have enough of them to know that we're not going to air the dirty laundry here, as it were.
Not that the laundry's actually dirty.
Right. The point is that the rest of that is not my business. But I want to talk about this article and what it suggests, and I have another little piece that I want to reference as well.
Before we get there, since we're talking about Scotty, should we share the social information for anybody that would be interested?
I'll go ahead and do that now, and I plan on doing it again at the end of the show. Scotty, go look for DJ Scotty Spence or Crystal Spence or the Pampered Puppy and Tara Herschel. Tara, I'm sorry. I suddenly cannot remember your hyphenated last name. But Tara over at the Pampered Puppy is managing the GoFundMe. They are doing a GoFundMe and a Cash App for those of us who refuse to use GoFundMe for very, well, I mean, let's be real, overt political reasons. I won't. If you need money and you run a GoFundMe, you will not get my money. You'll have to give me an alternative. That's why I use Scotty's Cash App, which is # Scotty DJ Spence, I think. But go check him out on Facebook. He's got it posted there, and you can send him a couple of bucks. So, the article, I hope. Scotty, I hope you get a chance to watch this, even if you're not with us live this morning, because I know and also Scotty's going to be going live for a little bit this morning. That may be a good place to go and drop a comment in his live thread with condolences, as it were. But I'm going to go ahead and get into this article. There's hope here. There's something. It just happens that this article was published this morning, it was published yesterday. And then it was updated at 5:13 this morning, which is when I saw it, and I thought, wow, this is exactly the right thing at the right time. The first ever recording of a dying brain has revealed we might relive some of our best memories in our last moments. Scientists accidentally captured our most complex organ as it shut down, showing an astonishing snapshot into death. So here you've got the pre and the post from the electroencephalogram, where there's an acute subdural hemorrhage, hematoma, and then after the death, which was a result of the rupture of the hematoma, you can see the evacuated hematoma. So this lighter image here is the piece of the brain that's flooded with blood. That's the hematoma. And then here you can see that the rupture of that hematoma is what actually caused the death, and they actually watched it occur in real time. Now, this is not a young man. This is an octogenarian. An 87-year-old man's brain activity was being measured when he suddenly had a heart attack and died. Okay. So the hematoma, I guess the hematoma rupturing was separate. A patient was being treated for epilepsy, hooked up to an electroencephalogram. This meant the 15 minutes around his death was recorded on the EEG. Excuse me. In the 30 seconds either side of the patient's final heartbeat, an increase in very specific brain waves were spotted. These waves, known as gamma oscillations, are linked to things like memory retrieval, meditation, and dreaming. This could mean, although many more studies would need to take place, we might see a short film of our best memories as we die. The parts of the brain that were activated in the study also suggest we could enter a peaceful, dreamlike state that feels similar to meditation. Amazingly, as our bodies shut down, our brains could still be working hard in a concerted effort to deliver on a final task that makes the process feel less bleak. Yeah, Steve. We're not supposed to be laughing hard, but yeah, you're not wrong. That's a hell of a tan line, and it's a hell of a thing to stick those advertisements in the middle of an article like this.
Well, since we're already there, it's literally, in my opinion, that is absolute, bar none, the most attractive thing on a woman. Tan lines, period.
Really?
No woman is not improved by tan lines, in my opinion. None.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Amazingly, as our bodies shut down, I already read that. Dr. Ajmal Zamar, a neurosurgeon at the University of Louisville-Zamar, who organized the study, said, through generating oscillations involved in memory retrieval, the brain may be playing a last recall of important life events just before we die, similar to the ones reported in near-death experiences. These findings challenge our understanding of when exactly life ends and generate important subsequent questions, such as those related to the timing of organ donation. Similar brainwave changes have been seen in rats at the time of death, but never in humans before. The study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience said our data provide the first evidence from the dying human brain in a non-experimental real-life acute care clinical setting, and advocate that the human brain may possess the capability to generate coordinated activity during the near-death period. However, this is just one single case study with a brain that had already been injured from epilepsy, but it might pave the way for a greater understanding about what happens to us and what we think when we die. But Dr. Zamar added, something we may learn from this research is, although our loved ones have their eyes closed and are ready to leave us to rest, their brains may be replaying some of the nicest moments they've experienced in their lives. So
basically, to sum it all up in a sentence, you dream very pleasant dreams about your life in your final moments.
Is a working theory here.
Oh, obviously theory, but that's man, putting aside all of like the metaphysical philosophy that could go along with all that, because that could be like a 4-hour rabbit hole. Just on a very human level, that's very comforting. And you know, it's possible that could even be part of why we seem to have such a dislike. Like, nobody wants to see nobody wants to lose a loved one, period. But nobody, like, there are some things we seem to really dislike more than others. For example, when you've got a parent or grandparent that slowly falls apart with Alzheimer's disease. And maybe that's because it's one of those things we've got hardwired in our brains. It's an evolutionary thing. Who knows? That we know and understand, the mind going is not just the fact that the last part of your life is terrible if the mind goes, but quite literally maybe the last moments of your life are terrible if the mind goes. And that's just a thought. It's
right.
And then
Steve asks, how long have we had EEGs and why are we talking about this for the first time? So basically what's going on, and so the article just came out today. I didn't see a date in here of when the event occurred. I'm assuming the event, I'm just guessing here, but I would expect that the event was a year ago or give or, something like that, because basically this article references a study that was reported, a study published in Aging Neuroscience, Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience. And that article was published on the 22nd. So that was published on Tuesday. The neurophysiological footprint of brain activity after cardiac arrest and during near-death experience is not well understood. Although a hypoactive state of brain activity has been assumed, experimental animal studies have shown increased activity after cardiac arrest, particularly in the gamma band, resulting from hypercapnia prior to and cessation of cerebral blood flow after cardiac arrest. No study has yet investigated this matter in humans. Here we present continuous electroencephalography recording from a dying human brain obtained from an 87-year-old patient undergoing cardiac arrest after traumatic subdural hematoma. An increase of absolute power in gamma activity in the narrow and broad bands and a decrease in theta power is seen after suppression of bilateral hemispheric responses. Okay, so this seems to suggest that the traumatic subdural hematoma caused the cardiac arrest.
So yeah, hey, so real quick, Q Polson from Russia, hello.
Privyetovich.
Yes.
Dela.
Excellent. And then your father joined us on Rumble, and we're at full strength Polytech now over on Rumble as well. Alex
Cool.
appears to be here.
Got the double tap on Rumble, and
So-
Alex messaged me yesterday that he had been watching the show on Rumble on his. I think he was watching the show on Rumble on his TV. And then he had the show pulled up on YouTube on his phone for commenting. And if you're wondering, guys, that is the correct answer. If each of you is worth 2 viewers across multiple platforms, that works for my heart.
That's kind of sweet. Like, and I've done it before where, like, I've watched him on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Like, pulled him up on Facebook but commented on YouTube. And the same principle, just,
So, Polson, we're not going to discuss that today.
I would love to discuss that with you. However, and I hope you understand sarcasm, but we totally believe that was the safest, most secure, awesome, like just the best election that ever happened.
That's enough of that. If you want more of that, you'll have to look for the Rumble exclusive that we're doing at the end of March. So, the classic view of a hypoactive brain during the near-death phase has been challenged by recent evidence demonstrating end-of-life electrical surges, ELES. In rodents, increased corticocardiac and anterior-posterior connectivity phase coupling between gamma oscillations to alpha and theta waves, and an increase in gamma band oscillatory activity was identified in the first 30 seconds after cardiac arrest. Beside cardiac arrest, a surge of gamma oscillations has been observed immediately upon asphyxia and hypercapnia. Thus far, reports investigating the neural correlates of NDEs, it's near-death experiences.
Oh, by the way, go ahead.
Stem from experimental studies in animals from measurements that were obtained during NDE recall rather than real-time recording during the NDE itself, or from simplified EEG recordings in palliative patients. One of the problems with trying to get this kind of recording is the logistics around the EEG. so an electroencephalogram machine is in any given hospital or laboratory, the EEG is a prized commodity. Getting time on it is difficult, and it's a very valuable resource. So
it's a waste of a resource to put it on somebody that you know is going to die. What are you?
Well, it's not.
I just mean from a very cold-blooded.
If you've got somebody who is at the end, to know someone is about to pass. It's not like you can look at your watch and say, yeah, they're going to be gone in 27 and a half minutes. It's more like sometime today, maybe a couple of days, trying to nail that exact moment. You very, very rarely have a window that is less than several hours. I mean, the tightest estimated windows are going to be several hours until just a few moments before the event occurs, and then once you get to a few minutes before the end of life, before the actual death, and at that point it's not like you can just let's hook them up real quick. We've got 3 minutes. We should be able to get all the sticky pads in there, right? So
well, yeah,
that's a little tricky logistically just to guarantee it.
Well, and it's a limited resource. Like you got to aim it where it's going to be useful.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the other side of that, you could say, well, what if you have a lab that's dedicated to this kind of study? Yeah, that's a whole other problem. Now you're going to end up with a list of people who are near death. How many EEGs are you going to put in that one lab? And how many of them are you going to keep hooked up for how long? And what happens if one of your volunteers or subjects is just not in rotation right now, and they pass while the other one that's actually on the machine lasts for longer than expected? That's a pretty tricky juggling act.
Well, and speaking of the juggling act, you have the nature of death to deal with. And by the way, just to correct something, it's DJ Scotty Spence on Cash App.
Okay.
So as Scotty IE.
And I'll go ahead and put that as a pinned comment under everything I can pin a comment under.
Yeah. DJ Scotty Spence with Cash App. Okay. But then you've got the actual nature of death itself. Like, my father passed about 6 months ago. Whoa, that was loud. My father passed about 6 months ago. He probably would have gotten a kick out of being some kind of a science experiment in the final few moments of his life, right? And it's something I would have understood about my father. There are other friends and family members there who might have been terribly upset to have to compete with a beeping machine for their last few moments of my father's life.
I think that would have amused him even more.
So it probably would have, but the point is, when you're in those final moments, when you're in hospice and palliative care and all that, like, you're not just taking care of the person that's about to pass. You're also trying to manage everything else that happens around the death process. Families have a tendency to even fight with one another before the body gets cold. It's a stressful situation. Old wounds and old hurts come back up. So it seems that your point is well taken, Steve, that we should have had this recorded many times already. But it's actually easy for me to envision a scenario where even if it has happened before, it's happened so rarely and so infrequently. And then you've got the family that's like, I don't want you publishing what happened to my grandfather in some fucking scientific journal. Just let us bury our grandfather and be done with it. Right? So it actually makes a lot of sense that this is the first time that this has ever, been part of a paper and actually been analyzed for its scientific data. There's just, between the valuable resource that the EEG is and everything else that goes along with it, That's tough because this is fascinating, and death is something that, I heard a really dark thing that said, we were all born dying, and it's like, oh, great, there's your black pill for the day, but it's true. Like, Stephen King refers to him as the big bad patrol boy, and one day he will pull you over and write you a ticket. Like, it's gonna happen. And so it would be interesting to know this kind of thing. Yeah, I think it would be more comforting for all of us. But again, the EEG is it's a resource.
And I'm going to close on this. I'm going to talk a little bit about McDougall's theory. McDougall is the scientist that gave us the 21 grams theory. And I'm just going to touch this briefly. He weighed the human soul. Dr. Duncan McDougall, known for his experiments, a surgeon known particularly for his experiments in the weighing of the soul. Through delicate weighing devices, he calculated the weight of the human soul at between 6 and 8 ounces. In this research, which extended through years, he said he took into account the actual weight of the body immediately before and immediately after passing. He was a contributor of poetry to various magazines. So the 21 grams theory, we're talking about an experiment that was conducted in, when we say the early 1900s, we're like, well, when did it happen? Oh, in 1900. 1900 and what? 1900 and nothing. 122 years ago, right? He took patients who were at the brink and put them on scales and measured them before and after passing. Now, anecdotally, let me ask, have you ever sat and held a baby, or even a toddler, or in my case, a very large toddler, and been holding a baby and they fell asleep? It's the strangest thing. You can tell when they fall asleep because they literally get heavier. Now that's for lack of a better phrasing, dead weight, right? Suddenly, it's not that they actually get heavier, or maybe it is, but it's almost as if when the baby falls asleep in your arms and is suddenly no longer struggling, no longer in any way supporting their own, like, they're not holding their head up at all, they're just, complete muscle relaxation, just total flop out. A baby gets heavier when they fall asleep, right? Yeah, more relaxed, exactly, Sean. This weight, the 21 grams theory, it wasn't just that he recorded that bodies got lighter, but it was almost an exact weight. Like, the size of the person doesn't affect the weight of the soul. And there may be other things that can account for that weight. But 21 grams is a hell of a lot of oxygen to be in the lungs. To have enough air in the lungs to weigh 21 grams, that's substantial. So,
look, we're coming up on done. Can we give David Seaver the top comment? Like, that was funny.
I don't know, man. It's certainly hard to return fire when you go ragdoll.
Uh-oh.
There you are.
That was weird. That was weird.
Do it again. There. Aha! I don't know why that one hiccuped on me. So, I'm gonna say one more time. Y'all go look up DJ Scotty Spence, Just for Fun Radio, or Crystal Spence, or again the Pampered Puppy, and Tara over there. She's actually managing the GoFundMe. So look up any of those, and if you can send them $5 or $10. help with funeral costs, because that is we both sold life insurance for a hot minute, and I'll tell you something, funeral costs will surprise you. Like a lot. And definitely send your thoughts and prayers to the Spence family. And then this last thing before we go, I'm gonna go ahead and check on Facebook for you and let you know. I know he said he was gonna go live. I'm not sure if he has yet. And if he is live, I'm gonna call him after we get off the show. I started to search Polytech for some reason.
Because we're all
one big happy family.
That's the rumor.
He does not appear to be live yet, but the rumor is he's gonna be, so hoping I'll catch him. Y'all keep an eye out, and if you get a chance while he's live later today, pop in there and drop him a comment, send him some love, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe out there.